Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Tuesday. I know this is kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah, Sunday was kind of, I was doing so much Sunday. I was wiped out. I was just completely wiped out. I was trying to get so much done all weekend. I have a huge, huge wholesale order I'm trying to get out for my other side business. So, all last week and all weekend, and I'm still working on it because it's going in this Friday. So, I've just been working hard and it's just wiped out. So like I just couldn't. And I'm like, okay, Tuesday, we'll just do this Tuesday. And it kind of shakes it up a little bit for you guys too. So what do you guys got going on? You just gonna work on something? You just gonna watch tonight? Am I in place of TV? Maybe I should have done Monday night football widows. Hey Barb. So yeah, this might happen once in a while where we shake it up a little bit. Just got to see how things go with the holidays coming up and all the markets and everything. So hopefully I don't overdo. And then by Sunday night, I'm just like, I'm dead. Hey, Nero. Awesome. I was hoping people would just kind of be starting to chill out a little bit by now. Of course, it's a little later for you, Nero. See if anybody else jumps on here and then we'll get going. I don't know if you guys have ever thought about making these. I used to do these. Hi, Angela. Oh, I missed you too, honey. It's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks and 2 days. And if you weren't on then it's been longer. So, yeah. But I used to do these for a shop in a small town over by me. And she paid me like nothing to do these. We won't even talk about that. But I learned how to make them. They were super easy, so I could spit them out real fast. So it was just like, if you want to pay me nothing, whatever. Doesn't mean I'm going to keep doing it, but that's a story for another day. But they're really cute, and they were really good sellers for her, I know, because she ordered a lot of them from me. So I thought, why not? These are easy, and you can do so many different things with them. So I haven't finished this one. I was going to do the sample, and the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, no, I'm going to stop where I'm at, and then we will finish it from there. Hey, Sandra. And you guys will know what I'm doing by when I show you anyways. So it's not like it had to be 100% done. And it kind of made more sense too for me not to do this one fully, because then I could show you the beginning steps and then take you the rest of the way. So anyway, so you guys have seen these. These are those towels that the kids wear, that, and then the elastic is up here. So don't have the elastic in yet, so we will do that. But these are the wraparound towels, and we'll put the Velcro on and stuff. So I've left that to be done. But I've got most of it started, and I've put the edge piece on. And if you guys want an edge piece on the bottom, you can do that as well. Oh, thanks, Sandy. Thank you, thank you. I think my community channel tab should be coming in a couple days, because I was reading somewhere it said probably a week, and a week's coming up, I think, in 2 more days. So I keep an eye out for that. And I really appreciate everybody that helped me get there. Oh my gosh, that was so awesome. So yeah, I am excited to get that. I think that's really going to be good for you guys. It's going to help me communicate better with you, give you more input, and the ability to, yeah, fingers crossed, Sandy, is not the truth. More chances for you guys to be able to have the lists ahead of time, sewing lists. I know they're in my description, but I could also put it out there too. So as soon as I get that, we'll be using it a lot. So anyways, the other good thing about these towels, you can do them plain, or you can put an embroidery, whatever here, up here. You can put their name down it. You can do any kind of HTV on here, anything. So these are fun. And then if you want to make these for adults, you can do that as well. This one that I made or will be making is for a kid, probably, I would say up to about 8-ish, depending upon, the size of the child. So a lot of it's going to be their upper, like underneath their armpits, chest measurement is where this is going to dictate on whether half a towel or a full towel is going to be the size you're going to need to use. I bought a bath sheet, and I know I put in the description 30 by 60. Mine was 30 by 54, close enough. So if you want to do a bath sheet, I cut this one in two. So I cut it, if you can see, let's see if I can find, nope, this one doesn't have it. Okay. So anyways, I cut it so that it ended up being 27 by 30. And I did the 30 for around underneath the arms and the 27 for the length. Because the kids, no matter, even for me, and I'm not super tall, but I'm not super short when it comes to measuring for a kid. The 27 or the 27 length still for my armpits puts it down to my knees. So even for an adult, this is a pretty good length. So for kids, that would be fine. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong way. I'm looking at this. No, it's this way. Sorry, because this is my side edge. So anyway, this is the 27. It still puts it, right above my knee, and I'm 5'4". So if your kids are 5'4" and under, this is probably long enough. Now, if they're taller and you want to do a bigger size, then get the bath sheet and don't cut it. Just use the full bath sheet, and then decide which way lengthwise is good versus the width, because you're going to use your elastic to help pull it all in so it all works with Velcro. So 2 different ways, or if you want to use the minky or buy terry cloth fabric by the yard, 24 by 36 is the size I gave for the kids. You could also do if you want to do bigger. It was just kind of a 24 by 36 would probably be good enough for up to 6 or 7. And then I'd probably go more towards the 27 by 30 like this if they're going to be a little bit older, and then just, keep adding on length in around. We'll talk about the around in a minute so that you guys can figure out if you want to make bigger. So what I did then was I cut it obviously in half, and then I serged the edge that's going to be flipped over. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Diamond Boutique. So I serged the edge that I cut because that's the only open edge. And that's the edge that I'm going to flip over anyways. And it's going to become the casing for the elastic. So it worked out really well that all 3 other edges were finished. Could have done it with this to finish it off too, but my measurements weren't working out right. So either way, either do it on this one, or if you want your measurement the other way, you can always cover this edge with your trim piece. So the trim piece that I cut, and this can be any width that you guys want. I'm just doing polka dots, and so I did enough polka dots to get about 2. Now, if you have some fabric that has a really cool design on it or something and you want it wider, go ahead and make it wider. Don't sacrifice that cute fabric. because as you see, you could get as wide as you want it here and run it down. So I would just, pick your fabric and then decide how wide you want this piece to be. If you want it skinny or if you want it wider or whatever. Yes, you can add shoulder straps as well, Narrow. Absolutely, and those would be super easy to do. We'll talk about those at the end. Hey, Sierra, remind me, Narrow, if I get off on a tangent and I forget. Chat disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect. Oh, guys, what the heck? What happened? Okay, they're back. I don't know why the chat got disconnected. That's kind of scary. I've never seen that happen before. Yes, so we'll talk about those at the end. Narrow, remind me if like I said, if I get off on a tangent and then I just all of a sudden start heading off and you'd be like, whoa, wait. But yeah, it would be super easy to add. And you can do that with this fabric, or if you cut it in half and you want to use this for the straps, you can do the other half for the straps and take off of that, or whatever you want. So yeah, Sandy, I don't know. That YouTube must have had a complete blip because I've never seen that happen before where they said it was disconnected. Weird. Oh, very cool, Mary. I forgot about Scarecrow Day. That's bringing me back. Yeah. So, okay. So anyway, let's get started here. Let's get back to this fabric, okay? So make it as wide as you want. Now remember, you're going to turn part of it to the back, and you're going to iron that. So for me, it ended up being probably, about a ½ inch. I just like to make a nice healthy turn when I do these so that when I take it over, oh, it's lagging. Oh boy. Well, that's YouTube. Yeah. Oh, that stinks. Okay, well, I'll try and not move super fast, so hopefully the lagging won't affect. But do a ½ inch turn so that you're not fiddling with this edge. Anything under a ½ inch sometimes, I've noticed even when I pin, it kind of wants to jump out, and then I end up having to push it back under. And I feel like my edge doesn't look as clean because I'm constantly fiddling with it. So ½ inch minimum. If you want to go more, you certainly can. So anyway, if I were to take like a print, say I've got this really cute dinosaur print, and I want to make sure I get a good portion of these showing, go ahead and just figure out how much you need to show the print. Include a ½ inch on one side. And let me measure this to be certain so I know what it really did take. And I'd say probably about 5/8. So ½ inch for one side, 5/8 for the other. You can do 5/8 on each side if it's easier for you to remember, whatever. But when I attached it and turned it, that's kind of that 5/8 is kind of about where it's at. So I would always cut bigger than what you think you're going to need if you're trying to get your pattern. I would sooner you have more and it sticks a little further out than you go just a touch too short and then it doesn't work. So always just kind of play with it. You can iron it, make sure it's all looking good before you sew it on. There's lots of ways to test it to make sure you're getting it the way you want it before you put it on. So these are always so fun to just kind of let them make themselves. There are no hard and fast rules on how these go together and what you do to them. So I only turn one side. Then I also turn the top. So it's already finished. And then measure how long it's got to be. And then cut probably 1/2 inch more and turn that back. And then you can go ahead and pin it and make sure you turn it exactly so it matches at the bottom as well. So you can measure it on there. So pin it on there, measure it, turn it up, and then get it where it's got to be. I sometimes will even take it and finger press it before I go over to the iron so that I know I've got it in the right spot. And then go press everything. Leave one side completely unturned. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back to the way it was before I had that trim on. So now, here's my serged edge. So that's the top of my towel. Okay, so that's the part that's going here. And it doesn't matter which side you put it on, but whichever side you put it on is going to be on the top. So if you want it to loop this way, then you put it here, and then it'll Velcro closed over here. And if you put it on the other side, it'll Velcro closed on the other side. It doesn't matter, just pick a side. But some people have this thing about, oh, I like it on the left, I like it on the right. Just be aware, whatever side you put it on affects it. So hold the towel up if it really matters to you and figure out, here's my fold, here's my open edges. Figure out which side you want it on. And then take it and make sure you keep a hold of it. And then what I do is you don't have to serge this, but you can, okay? Hey, Nancy, how you doing? Hey, Liz. So you can serge this, and you don't have to serge this if you don't want to either. You can zigzag it. You don't have to use a serger. I always finish it though, because it's going to be part of the bottom of that casing, so you need to finish it. So if you're going to zigzag it, do a tighter zigzag stitch, just because this is terry and it will fray through. So I always pull it in a little tighter. Hey, Patty. So anyway, if you want, you can go ahead and you line it up. So I've already got this folded over. So you leave it folded, okay? Because that's going to have a finished edge already for you. And there's a reason for that. Because at the bottom, which is where I'm starting, then it's already finished. And we flip it over and it's done. You don't have to go back and try and tuck that thing up underneath there or try and sew through something that's extra, extra thick, because you need to finish that edge. It's already finished for you. So we will pin this on. And line it up perfectly with your edge. And then I run this all along that edge. And you don't have to put a million pins in it, just enough to keep it. The thing about terry cloth is it's going to move just a touch if you don't pin it. It's not going to move bad, but this part's going to move on you underneath your sewing machine. Drive you crazy. I always have to pin this stuff. I can't not pin this stuff. I'll end up with a mess. So I just take the extra time, throw a couple of pins in there so it stays where I want it. And this edge, we do not have to serge. We do not have to zigzag, because it's going to be inside. So it's not going to fray, not going to come undone. just know how this walks on me. I'm going to pin it in a few more spots than I normally would. Usually I'd probably put 2 or 3, but on this one, I'm going to continuously pin just because I know what it's going to do to me. So I have all these pins all the way. Okay? And what we're going to do now is I'm going to go over to the machine here, and we're going to take at least a 1/4 of an inch seam. You can take more. You want at least a 1/4 of an inch. Now, if you did a 5/8 inch measurement to leave for this edge, that's because I did a 1/4 inch seam. If you're going to take a bigger seam, then just figure if you're going to do a 1/2 inch, just add that extra 1/4 into your 5/8 and maybe go with 3/4 of an inch to add on. And if you guys are lost, I was given measurements a little bit earlier on this. So these are just kind of, they're not hard and fast rules. It's just kind of giving you guys ideas as to how much it's going to take to cover all that. So, you know, if nothing else, if you want to test it, then grab yourself another, like a washcloth or something, and just put a piece of trim on it, because you can still use the washcloth with the trim, and see how it works. And you can test it on that if you really want to. Hey, Juana. And so that would be a real good test as well, to find out how big your seams are going to be and how everything's going to work out and everything, if you really don't want to try and test it on this. And then you can go do that and then come and do it on this and learn from doing it on a washcloth. Then you have a pretty washcloth too. So, and you can even monogram on the washcloth or put a name on it or something, and, you know, put it in your bathroom or give it as a gift or something. So, all right. So now we're going to go ahead and sew this on. I'm going to bring my sewing machine around. I left it off to the side here for a minute so I can show you guys everything. She's really thrilled, you can tell. They're all watching you, and you're falling asleep. Your audience wants you to perform. Come on, you're usually out doing something. I know. She goes, I already did that earlier. Got in trouble for it too. She loves to just kind of really go crazy when she sees the cats outside, when she wants to go and check them out. And it scares me because she hits that glass door so hard, I'm afraid she's going to break it. So when she does that, she kind of gets in trouble because I'm afraid she's going to get hurt. She doesn't understand that. I can't believe how hard she hits that glass door. It scares me. All right. So I'm just going to do a quick seam on this. Now you will want to backstitch and go forward, and go very, very slow when you're going through this edge. And let me show you why. In fact, you would probably want to hand crank it if you're not comfortable. You see how thick that is right here? And I've got to go through that. That's my backstitch part. So I may take some time and hand crank that. Or I do have a button on my machine where I can hit it and it'll put the needle down, and hit it and it'll pull the needle up again. Sometimes I use that as well to just real slowly go if I need a little help, but I'm definitely going to probably hand crank this one because I don't want to break a needle. So. Plus, it's probably not going to want to sew for you super easy. So you're going to have to help move the fabric just a little bit, but just get it in there enough that it'll catch a few stitches. You don't have to do a lot. And then when you go forward, take some real slow stitches, okay? Until you get over that hump. So go very, very slow at that time. And I always pull on my back threads sometimes. Let me move my In fact, I probably do it more than I realize. That's one thing my mom taught me when I was young, is you've got your top thread and your bottom thread, leave a healthy length before you start. And then when you get going forward, hold on to it with your fingers and just real carefully tug. You don't have to pull super hard. Just tug a little bit. Hey, Joanne, as you're sewing. Hey, Pia. And slowly pull that through until your machine starts feeding. If you're in a spot that gets where it kind of gets stuck and it needs just a little bit of help. And I've always done that, and it really, really does help make a difference. See, I'm just barely pulling, and I just scared myself. What was that noise? I don't know. So anyway, that's just a little trick. Leave yourself a long thread on top and bottom, not just one, because you'll break it if you have just one or the other. And then sometimes I also, once I get the fabric out, if it's far enough out, I'll just quit holding onto that and I'll just kind of hang on to this. I don't pull. I just hang on to kind of guide. And it's more just a, it helps me to keep things going straight. Oh, I know what happened. Okay, so sometimes on these spools, they will have an area where you can catch your thread in to help you stop it. Well, sometimes when you're sewing and that gets on the wrong side, like the front, your thread gets caught in that and then it breaks. That's what happened. That's what I heard. Oh, Liz, some other people were saying they were having that problem too. YouTube timed out on us a little bit ago. For some reason, I think they may be having some problems tonight. So that's probably what you got going on there. All right, so let me get back to where we were here. And you and I even thought about that happening with that spool of thread, and I thought I had fixed it before we started. I guess I didn't. So just be aware that can happen. No big deal. Just flip your spool around so that that part is back here, not up here. Oh, wonderful, Barb. Hey, Marissa. Yeah, it's 80 degrees here, so, and we have a storm supposedly coming through later. Then I think it's supposed to cool off. It's supposed to be in the 70s during the day, and I think down in the 50s at night, so it'll be absolutely gorgeous. I'll be able to open the house up again and really enjoy that weather. All right, so I just got to start my thread again, and we'll be good to go. Okay, so if you get to the end, which sometimes will happen, you'll measure it, and as you're sewing, it kind of stretches your fabric just a tiny bit, and it's okay that it does that, but when you get to the end, if you have a little bit of fabric too long now because it stretched it, just pull it open and refold it back so that it's even with your edge at the top. So I can't really show this. I can show you by where this crease is. You'll probably see what I mean. as I was sewing along, it stretched my fabric just a little bit, and that can happen. It's not a big deal because it wasn't enough of a stretch, but you can see where I originally had creased my fabric and it matched. Well, then it stretched it just about that much and moved along. So right before I got to the end, I unpinned it, refolded it back so that it was even, and then caught it right there. Okay, so that's the easiest way to fix that. You can do that right as you're finishing everything up. Hey Sam, how are you doing? Happy Tuesday, everybody. Sorry I got you all confused thinking this is Sunday night. It's not. For those of you just joining, Sunday night I was exhausted and there was no way I was going to put two words together. I've got a huge wholesale order I'm trying to get done for my other shop, and it took a lot out of me, and I'm still not done. We're getting there. It goes out this weekend. It's just a local one, so I just have to deliver it. So it's good though. All right. So now, I don't know why I closed that because I'm still going to need it. So now we've got this. It's sewed on, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to take and fold it forward, and you can go iron this now if you want. You're going to fold it forward. If you want to iron all of that, you sure can. And sometimes I actually still do that because it just makes my life so much easier. So then you're going to turn it and pull it all the way so that it's snug. And see how this edge right here that you turned under lines up with the bottom, and it's already finished. So here it is, turned up, folding it over, and it lines up. So that's where I start, and I put a pin, and you want to make sure as you're turning this, here's the edge that was in here. So just pull your fabric so it's nice and snug. You don't want it like super tight, but you don't want it loose either. You want it to be snug, and then pin it down, okay? And this is where you're going to start seeing your pattern, if you have a pattern on your fabric. And a lot of times too, what I'll do is I'll do both ends first, and then I'll come back. That way, if I need to adjust anything, I can do that. All right, so and then this is where your folded edge, this folded edge that we ironed under, you're going to turn that under as well, so that everything finishes up real nice up here on the top, and you don't have to go back and try and do it the hard way. It's already done. And you just stitch it under and it's good to go. I have a few ends here. It doesn't matter. I'm going to trim those off though because they drive me crazy. But those are going to go underneath anyways. That's going to be all part of our casing for our elastic. And so just keep working it down and turning it and pinning. And I just lay it flat here. Oh, you guys just got cruised. And just keep pinning so that it'll look like that. And there's the back side. So there is not much here. This is all on the front, okay? So do that all the way down. He's so funny, isn't he? Bear, you are just a stitch. He had to get over to his towel that I lay over there for him to lay on. He loves that thing. If he's not sleeping on that towel, he's over on his fleece that I give him, over on the side cabinet, or he's back here making biscuits. Those are his 3 spots that he loves to hang out on. So he's had his dinner, and it's time for a nap. You live quite the life there, buddy, don't you? He's giving me this nasty stare. Oh, I love the looks they give you. You know, they don't realize that they're saying all kinds of things with those looks. Yeah, I'm trying to brush him because for some reason, he's shedding like crazy, even though it's fall. And he just doesn't seem to want to let me do that. So, yeah, it's been quite interesting watching me run around with a brush trying to get a few strokes in while he's like, no, 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 no. And he goes over there, and I go over there and brush, no, 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 no. And he goes over there. We get our exercise. I'm like, buddy, you're going to feel so much better. Just let me get all that hair off of you. It's got to be itchy. He's starting to get like one little tuft back at the back of by the base of his tail where the hair's starting to mat up. And I'm like, no, 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 we're not doing that. Oh, I know, Liz. I think it's fall. Fall always gets me. All I want to do is sleep because the days are getting shorter and it really, really affects my energy level. Yeah, I'm not, I know daylight savings time's coming up, and it's great that we fall back. But I also don't like the fact that it's also then dark by 5 o'clock. And then the nights seem like, oh, well, it's midnight. No, it's not. It's still, dinner time. So I fight that pretty hard. All right, so all pinned. Here's the back side. So you'll see there's not much showing there. Here's your edge. See how it's finished? So you either turn the top down and then turn the side under and pin it, or you turn the side under and then turn the top down and pin it, however you started sewing it on the other side. So just make sure all your finished edges lay down. And then you will stitch along the edge. I better not lay that right there because he'll think that's his towel. He has this thing about towels and fleece. Those are his favorites. So you stitch down the edge, and it's like that. Okay. I do not stitch across here or here. You don't have to. It's already finished. It won't come out. There's not enough there. Now, if you have a really wide piece because of the design you're trying to show, then you probably do want to stitch that. So if it's, probably triple this, then you probably do, or if you feel like it's gonna come out, then go ahead and stitch along the bottom too. But on these shorter ones, you don't have to. So it's up to you on how wide that gets before you feel like you want to stitch that down. Hey, Joanne, market's going good. I love this market. It is so much fun, and there are so many people that show up, and there's so many vendors, lots of food trucks, lots of activities. I had no idea this one was in my backyard, and it's been going on for I don't know how long. So yeah, I'm having a really good time. People are loving what I do. I've given out a lot of cards. I've had a lot of sales. So my testing of my pricing, spot on. I was hoping it would be, and I know it was going to be one of those, it's going to work or it's not. There's not going to be an in-between. So, yeah, it's been going well. I've been getting a lot of comments from people that my pricing is really good and my sales are showing it. And I'm not killing myself on my profit margin. I'm just making sure the pieces that I'm taking fit profit-wise into that price point. And then I do have some pieces that are higher. So, you still got to have those because there's still going to be some people who are going to want that item or that item. And I still sell a couple of those as well. So it's a lot of fun. I'm so excited I found this. Yeah, Liz, I could pass that on the way to the fridge too. Yeah, I'll be passing out tonight after this, that's for sure. I I've been now that I work at home, I don't have to get up as early as I used to have to because I used to have to get up at 4 o'clock, and that was killing me because I would have to be in bed by 8:30, and I felt like I had no life because to get up at 4 and be at work by 6:30 with a 40-minute drive, so I had to leave the house no later than 20 to 6, quarter to 6, to make sure I was there by 6:30. Oh my gosh. And then all day and then get home and have like 1 hour. By the time I got off work and got home, about 1 hour to do everything I needed to do, to go to bed, to get up, to do it all over again. I am taking so full advantage of the fact that I don't have to get up at 4 anymore. And I'm loving that I get to stay up until, 10, 11 o'clock like normal people again. And sometimes it creeps to 11:30, 12, and I'm like, okay, you got to stop. You got to go to bed because you need to quit pushing in the morning. And me and the snooze button have been a little happy lately, and I need to quit doing that. So I got up a little earlier this morning because I had a meeting a half an hour before I usually get on the computer, which is no big deal. But I made myself get up a half an hour earlier, and I'm like, okay, that wasn't that painful. Let's just start doing that. And so I'm going to try and do it again tomorrow, but my brain overrides my ability to get up because I'm not a morning person at all, and I love to stay in bed and I love to sleep. And if I had my way, I wouldn't get up till about 8 o'clock. So it's tough. Oh, yeah, I know that 4 a.m. I did that for 10 years, and I don't know how I did that. It was horrible, just horrible. Hey, Z, how are you? Hey, there's my girl that helped get me to 500. I appreciate you so much. You have no idea. Thank you. I've also been, and I know you guys are probably going to go, but I like it. I've been doing, yeah, Liz, I hear you. I've been doing full things of water with ice, and then you put in some ACV, and I just put in like one capful, and it's so diluted in this. And I do it pretty much all day long on about 3 or 4 of these. I have felt so much better the last couple of days, and it's that fast that you feel better like within a day. So if any of you are looking for that, it's killed my sugar cravings. It's given me energy. It's made me feel less bleh, less bloated, less icky. So I highly recommend it. And start out, if you're not used to it, start out with maybe half a capful in a big glass of water. You really won't notice it. If you have to, put just a tiny bit of like honey or stevia or something in there, and a little tiny bit of lemon juice, and make it kind of like a lemonade, because the tartness of the ACV will kind of make it feel like lemonade for you. Or this is a kind of a distant throw for a kombucha, very distant, but kind of along those lines of a kombucha too. And if you put more in, then it gets a little more closer to that kombucha, but still not quite there. But I'm not kidding. This is like been my go-to the last couple of days, and I'm feeling so much better, at least on the energy level. So, and I love kombucha. So this stuff does not bother me at all. I know, Liz. Sometimes it does taste like death if you're not used to it. You just kind of have to doctor it up. That's why I do the lemon juice and the stevia, and then it kind of tastes like a lemonade in a way. So, okay, Bear, you're either up or you're down, buddy. Now he's crawling underneath where I have the camera. Don't knock the camera. Please don't knock the camera. Thank you. All right, so now let's go put the casing in. And I'm going to measure down about 1.5 inches. I probably don't need to go that much. Let me think. Oh yeah, I'm going to go 1 inch, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. I have 1 inch, 3/4 inch elastic. I told you guys to get 1 inch. If you have 3/4, it's fine too. I wouldn't go less. The wider your elastic is, the better on this, because you're putting it here and you're wanting to tighten it. So you want it to be something that's comfortable, and so it's got to be wide. Thinner, you know how that gets. When it gets too thin, it starts hurting. So minimum 3/4 of an inch, preferably 1 to 1 1/4. What do I put it in? The ACV? Oh, Liz, I don't know about that. Tell me how that goes. I don't see that being a good combo, but maybe it'll work. What I put mine in, again, like I said, I'll do lemon with some stevia and honey in the water with ice, or I will also make a really big like smoothie with fruits and some vegetables. Like I love to do celery and cucumber, and then I'll put a real small apple and some berries in there in my smoothie. And she's snoring. Sorry, it scared me. And then I'll put some of it in there, and you really aren't going to taste it in there at all. And then I also hide my spirulina and my chlorella. I can't taste it. Cannot. And if you can't taste chlorella in something, you know you've done well. And so I do it in that. And all I really taste is my fruits, and then a little undertone of the celery and an undertone of the cucumber. And it's just enough that it's very fresh tasting. And so that's one way I would hide it as well. And I love that smoothie. That is so, so, so good. It just really fills me up. I leave the fiber in it the whole bit, and all the goodies. I put my maca, all that stuff in there that you really want to hide the taste on. And it really does well. So I recommend that. But yeah, when you start feeling good, you can sometimes deal with it. If you still taste it and it's not so good, you can just kind of down it real fast until you get used to it. But the minute you start realizing how good it makes you feel, it's worth it. All right, so turn down. I'm still going to do 1.5 inches just because I feel it gives a nice top to it. Because you kind of want it to be thick enough that it's comfortable too. So measure it down and pin it. That's another thing I love about this machine. It's so flat and it's really wide that I can sit here and use it as a table, and you guys can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to pin quite a bit on this too, because again, it's terry and it may want to move just a little bit. So I prefer to overpin rather than fuss with it while I'm sewing. It doesn't matter how long you've been sewing. Pinning is never going to be something you will stop doing. You're always going to want to pin. Now, maybe not on everything that you used to, but there's going to be times where you're always going to pin. So this will be another one. If you guys wanted to do these for markets and you want to do them out of the towels, then you just pick up a bunch of towels when they have the white sales, and you can really, if you can get two of these for the little kids out of one towel, your price point has just gone way down. And so your profit margin or your sale price, either your profit margin can be a lot more or your sale price can be a lot less. And then you can just blow them out. because these you can wear for anything, whether they're getting out of the shower, whether they've gone swimming. You know, these are the year-round things too. Because I know the towels with the hoods are big for the babies and the little kids, but sometimes, you know, the kids are like, oh, that's a baby thing. I don't want to wear that no more. And you're like, oh, but it was cute. Well, these are cute too, because you can still do, like I said, all the fun stuff right here and just really have a good time with it. So, okay, so we're pinned. And I always, even though I know it's right, I take the casing and then I take my elastic and I just lay it on there just to verify, yes, I do have enough room to run through there. And there have been times I did not do that and I miscalculated in my head and it was too tight. That's why I do it all the time now. I am not going to put myself through that. All right, so I'm going to go over to, I hit a button. What did I hit? Okay. Go over and just do just a regular seam. I know people sometimes ask me what stitch length I use. This one goes from 0 to 5, 0 to 6, 0 to 5. And I usually set it at medium, so about 3, 3.5, 4 is where I put it. On this one, I'm going to do a 3, just because it's going to be holding that elastic. So I want it to be a little bit closer together because there's going to be a lot of stretching going on to it, so I don't want it to break. Sometimes the wider stitches, they don't take the wear and tear as easily as if they're a little bit smaller and closer together. So, and I'm just going to run right down the edge like I always do. I follow down about the middle of my serged part, or it would be your zigzag if you didn't do it with a serger, or right at the top edge, one of the two. And that's always a good place to make sure that you're not going to impede on this part so that you have enough room. And then it also will hide a lot of times your stitch. So now we're going to forward back stitch. So they call it back stitching, but I kind of tend to explain it if that's a, you know, why you guys are wondering what I'm saying. So I will go in further so I can back and forward. I do too. Sometimes people like start at the edge and go forward, back, forward, and then keep going. I found sometimes on these thicker, because this is going to be a little bit thicker. So every time you start and stop, you're going to be going through quite a lot of fabrics. So just be aware that have a touch thicker needle. Don't use like a 9. I'd probably use an 11. And that way, you know, it's not going to break off in the fabric. It's going to handle some of those thicker fabrics. Bear, that's my towel. You go lay on your towel over there. He sees a towel and he's like, mine. Little stinker. And always keep your needle, set your needle that it always ends in the down position if you have the ability to do that on your machine. Now I always sew one stitch off, and I don't know what that noise was. That was a weird noise. Very weird noise. Too close to Halloween. I'm freaking myself out here. Okay, so I backstitch one stitch off of the edge because you want to catch that edge so that it doesn't rip apart, where if you catch it and that one stitch off kind of loops it and then pulls it in so that you can't get your finger up in there. And then just trust me, you know what I mean, when you can kind of go to some of your stuff where it's not kind of caught and held down, you can easily break open that seam. Well, by doing that one stitch off, and then I stop, and then I'm real careful, going to go push my fabric forward to get it to go back on again, and then that will seal that down for you. And then go slow through that real thick area. And then your towel may move up in between your foot every now and then, so you may have to stop and just kind of reposition it. That's just terry cloth. It's going to happen. And so you notice how I'm hanging on to the back here? I'm going to help guide it just a little further to get it going, is all I'm doing. I'm trying to hold it straight until I know it's got a good like a weighted piece back here. For some reason, it's always got to have just a little piece passed for me. And then I know it's going to go absolutely perfect. I've had too many times it's done this until I had just a little bit back there. And I don't know why. A lot of people don't have that problem, but I always have. So that's why I tend to hang on. And then when it's thicker like this too, sometimes if you don't have a walking foot, just by guiding, I'm not pulling, I'm just guiding it. Yeah, she is having a good time back there, Sarah. Oh, you should, yeah, okay. How's that for, you are so silly. Really? Yeah, your audience is watching. Oh, she's hilarious. So since it's so thick, it seems to be wanting me to pull just a little. And once you guys start guiding back here, you're going to realize you're going to do it a lot and not even realize it because it helps. All right. Now, she forgets how to dog. That's all I got to say. You are a goofball. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're being silly, aren't you? Huh? You being silly? You being silly? Huh? You being silly? Did you forget how to dog? You've been watching the kitty too much? Huh? Huh? My pets have a personality. What can I say? Even my cats, they are hilarious. They do stuff that most cats don't. And I'm like, where did you learn that stuff? And then when I get to closer to the end, over here, I always, no matter what I'm sewing on, always kind of stop and straighten that up because I guarantee as you're moving, it kind of moves itself and then you get to the end. And if you don't, you're going to be like, oh, that doesn't line up real well. Well, that's because it kind of wants to move on you just regardless of what you're sewing. So always just kind of stop and adjust. I'm about 4 inches away from the end and I'm already putting my finger on it, got it straightened up, and now we're just going to finish it off. And then again, you're going to want to go 1 stitch off on the side and then back it up. Just to hold it in there. All right. I'm going to show you what I mean so you guys can understand what I was talking about when I say the 1 stitch off. That's here. And I'm also going to pull pins so I don't poke myself showing you guys. Hey, what do you think you're getting into over there? There's nothing over there for you. Nothing happened in the last half a second over there. Okay, so can you see how right there, that stitch right there, by going off 1 past the fabric and then going back on, see how it locks it in there and you can't, where if you hadn't done that, it would open like this a little bit and then you'd be able to rip it. But now it's locked. So I always do that when I'm going to be putting pressure on. Now, we're going to close these ends up and that's going to help. But still, it's going to be an end where people touch it a lot and they pull on it. So I always want to do that just to give it a little extra assurance that it's going to handle a little bit of wear and tear. All right, so now let's put in our elastic, okay? So your elastic, I just had it. Where did it go? Tell me, people, if you saw my elastic. I know I just had it. It probably hit the floor. There it is. Yeah, it did hit the floor. Okay. So you're going to want to cut the elastic about, let me see. Oh, I don't have it on there. 6 to 10 inches less than the chest measurement. So if you're doing these to sell for a certain size, just go and find a chart that tells you what the chest measurement is up here, and then go about probably 6 to 10 inches less. So this is 19 inches, and the Velcro is still going to be pretty long because I want you guys to have 5 inches or more of Velcro, but 5 inches is going to be plenty. And then that way, you know, you can move the Velcro a little bit too if you need it longer or tighter. So it's going to be a pretty good system between this and this to get you through quite a bit of sizes. So anyway, what are you doing? Oh, I know, that's the kitty food, and you think that's the best thing in the world. You act like you didn't have dinner. Why don't you get up there and show off again? Yeah. They love watching you. So I'm going to start at this end, and the minute I get it pulled through far enough that this is lined up with my edge here, I'm going to sew it shut. And then I don't have to put a pin here, and I'm going to be able to pull against it to get to this end, okay? So I'll show you what I'm talking about. And my little thing that I use is upstairs, and I just realized it. So this could take a little longer to do than I want. If I had that, I'd probably have it through in about 2 seconds. But with this being bulkier fabric, it's going to take me a little longer without having that. I can't believe this weekend's Halloween, guys. Where did this year go? It's just blown away. I had my pest control guy over today, and he comes quarterly, and I really didn't pay much attention, and he goes, okay, I'll see you next year. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it's October. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll see you after the first of the year. Whoa, how did that happen? And he gets a kick out of her when he comes over, because all she does is bark at him because she wants to play. And he just looks at her, and he's just like, what? Why are you know me? You know, he just loves her. Okay, so I got to the end here, and I'm just going to kind of push that in so that when I sew it shut, you don't see the elastic. And then I'm going to sew that shut through the elastic, and I'm probably going to go over it. So I'll sew and do my stop start, and then I'll go over it and probably go back and then stop start. So I'll really kind of hit it like 3 times. And I want to do that because you're going to be pulling against this when you wear it. So I don't want to give it just 1 pass. I want to give it 2 or 3 passes across so I know it's going to hold. Got that, and I again kind of went off just a little bit, but my thread matches so well, you're not going to see it, so I'm not going to show you. I can't believe how well this thread matched. It's just kind of a coincidence that it did that. So anyway, now that edge is closed, and I've still got my pin, just got to figure out where it's at, right here. So I'm going to keep threading it through now. I don't have to worry about it pulling. Oh my goodness, Sarah. All right, so it's starting to pull. It's starting to look like the towel. There it is. All right, so now I'm going to take my pin out, do the same thing on this side, and make sure I catch. You see how that's already. And I'm probably going to leave this out and I'll trim it because it makes it easier for me to hang on to it. You can leave, you know, it's about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. It's not really going to affect on your sizing that little tiny bit. So, and this stuff that I showed you guys, it's from that Mandela Crafts. This is super soft elastic and it's super stretchy. I know some of them are really kind of stiff, and so it's super stretchy because it's so soft. So that's why I'm not worried on this one. If you're worried that it's not going to stretch enough, then add just a little tiny bit if you want to leave it at the end so that you just trim it off like I'm doing. And I'm just starting where my other seam was for when I did the casing. And so that way it'll be a nice clean square and there won't be anything going across. I'll show you what I mean. So just let me finish it. And this side's going to be a little extra thick just because of that extra fabric. So go slow. And I usually just back up. If you need to stop and turn it around so everything's always in a forward motion, do that. Whatever makes it easy for you. This is where these sharp scissors that I love come in handy, because this little tiny tip right up here is super sharp and I can get right in there at the very base of that stitch and snip. Okay, so you'll see what I mean by I did not cross it right there. I just went to that because you can see it covered the elastic just fine. It's a visual thing, really, more than anything. You really only need to go from there to there to cover your elastic, but it would look kind of funny if that's all you did. So to visually look good, I went down and created like an L. Okay, so this part, I'm going to open up the fabric just a little bit and snip it in there. And you just, get as close as you can. It doesn't really matter that you get too far in. Just don't cut your fabric. There. Okay, so we're almost there. We just have to put Velcro on now. So you see how it's turning out already? Already got that nice little stretch. All right, so now we're going to put Velcro from this edge, from the very edge, as long as it is. So I've got 5 inches, and I want to put the loop part, which is the real stiff part. I'm going to put that, wear it, and if it sticks out, let me do this on my arm. Because I did this when I was making these for the girls. Thanks, Pia, when I was making this for that girl's shop. And I wanted to make sure it went on the right way so it wasn't scratchy. And this is what I did, is I tried it on my arm. Okay, yeah. I want the loop part, the real scratchy part, to be here. And then you want the soft part to be where your edge is. So that way, if this moves and it starts touching skin, the soft part's touching the skin. Where this part, if it's got the loop part, it's going to come back and it's not going to touch you. So what I'm saying is if you have it open here and this is still sticking out, the soft part is going to be up against the chest, not this scratchy part. The scratchy part is going to be over here, which will be sticking out over here somewhere if you're opening it up because the child is growing or needs more room, okay? Mars, Liz, Mars, Texas. So remember that anytime you're dealing with Velcro, before you put it on, stop and think if this scratchy part at any point could touch somebody's skin and irritate it. And so maybe you need to do the opposite of what you would think, because you would have thought that this would have been here and this here, but no, we're going to reverse it. All right, so we're going to pin this and we're going to start here and put it on. Right? In fact, I'm probably going to start it just a little bit back so that there's a little tiny space here. One, it'll be easier to sew. Two, it'll just look better. Now this is where it's going to get really thick again too, because you're going to have several layers going through. So you're just going to have to be really careful and sew really slow. Okay. Now you're asking yourself, why didn't I do this before we did the casing? And it would have been easy to lay this flat and put it on here. If we would have done that, guys, hey, Roseanne, it would have been too thin. And every time you start pulling on it, it would have eventually ripped this apart because there isn't enough thickness to handle that wear and tear. You've only got one part of the fabric, where here we're sewing through two parts of the fabric and the elastic. So it's going to give it that extra stability it needs to handle the wear and tear of taking it on and off all the time without ripping your fabric. That's why we didn't do that. So yeah, it would have been easier, but we can't. Not if you want it to last. So pull it open. So when we go to stitch, you're going to have to pull this elastic open because you want it to lay flat on there. And yeah, it's going to bunch up a little bit, but that's okay, because when you pull it open again to lay it on there, you want it to be able to open. Where if you sew it while it's all scrunched up like this, then you're losing however much extra stretch that you may need to make your size. So you just got to open it. And I would pin probably about 3 places, because as you open it, it'll lay it flat for you. You just want it to hold it there. Put it right down the middle of that casing. Now this is where I'm going to tell you, take your stitch length down a little bit. So make it shorter. So I'm at a 3. I'm going to go down to about a 2.5. It's going to need that extra small stitch for strength, okay? All right, so we're going to sew this on. It's just a rectangle. So wherever you want to start, pull your fabric open while you're sewing, and you just sew down along the edge of this to hold it down. If you guys haven't sewn a Velcro before, I recommend practicing sewing on it on a piece of fabric before you do it here. Don't let this be your first time. It's not hard, but there is it is just a different feel, and you really want to know, like when your needle is going through it, it's going to feel funny. So I want you guys to get used to that so it doesn't freak you out. So slow. And don't forget to backstitch. And this just takes time to do because you got to hold that elastic. This is another place where that real soft elastic is going to help you. Stiffer elastic, you're going to have to pull harder on to get it to lay flat. Where this real soft elastic, I'm hardly even pulling on it. And it's letting it open up for me real easy. And I'm removing my pins as I go. Oh, the head of that pin just came off. Okay. I'm having all the things happen tonight, guys. Okay, I need to get some pliers. I'll be right here. Gotta be able to pull that out. You get real life on my videos, guys. Sorry. You see it all happen here. Okay. Just lift that up. There it is. Lost the head on the pin. Now, when I get to the edge of this Velcro, again, I go off one stitch and then go back. It just helps sink those edges down and gives them a little stability. And I'm only talking one stitch. You don't have to go any further than that. This is where pulling from the back will help sometimes on these kinds of things. So it's going to help you move that fabric through because it's not wanting to probably feed as easily as you're hoping. And then I think also my my feed dogs are getting a little bit caught in the loops. So that can happen too. What's going on here? Okay, so here's a machine issue I run into with my Janome. If you guys ever have this happen, this might be what's going on. Okay, so it was having a hard time going through this, so I was kind of forcing it just a little bit, and I think it was getting caught in my feed dogs. Now, I have not hit the reverse. I have not hit the reverse button. All it wants to do is sew backwards. That's what this machine will do. All I got to do is turn my machine off, leave everything set the way it is, turn your machine off, turn it back on, and then it's going to tell me it wants my needle up. So I'll just pick it up and it's going to want my foot feed up, and that's fine. So I just got to let it completely reset and it'll be fine again. My machine has always had this quirk and I forgot about it until it just happened again. So sometimes if you guys have that happen, that's what it is. Just turn it off, turn it on. Your machine got a little confused because you were trying to push through something that wasn't necessarily sewing as easily as it probably should have. So all good. I just have to go back in and reset my stitches. No big deal. And off we go again. I'm going to cut my thread on this other side. I always do that before I get to it because sometimes it will catch underneath and look really not clean. It'll do some real funky kind of, not really bird nesting, but it kind of looks like a little bit of a bird nest. So I always want to make sure I clean that up before I get to it. Okay, now, the only bad thing about this is that using the thread that matches this kind of makes this look silly over here. So there's other ways that we can fix this. You can put, you know, some decoration there. You can put a bow there. You can put anything. Or if it doesn't bother you, just leave it. But it does happen if you're trying to match your thread to your towel and then your trim fabric is light. See what I'm talking about? And it's okay. You don't have to worry about it. But if it bothers you, you can put something over it. But that's this top part. Okay. So see how it's still, it has a little bit of the stretch, not much, but a little bit. Okay, now we're going to go over and do this side. Now you got to think twice when you're doing this, okay? This is on the inside because that's the wide piece. That's the skinny piece. That goes on the inside. This goes on the outside. So if you're confused, again, stop, put it together, and then figure out where it has to go, okay? Always on things like this, don't just blindly go. I've done it a bajillion times and ended up having to rip. This one, we're going to start this right at the edge, and it's going to be in the middle again, okay? Pin it on. This one's harder to sew just because it's stiffer. This is those loops, those real stiff, scratchy loops. Harder to pin on, harder to sew. So you're just going to have to go a little slower. And it's not bad, but it makes that real funky, crunchy noise, and it kind of freaks you out a little bit that maybe I'm doing something I shouldn't be. Oh my goodness. She's snoring, and her teeth are showing. Oh my gosh, you are a goofball. I guess her bottom teeth that are showing too. Oh, you silly dog. And don't forget to stretch out your elastic while you're doing this too, so that it does the same thing as the other side. Oh, you're awake now? If only I could fall asleep that fast into a snore. I'm so envious. And yep, I broke my needle, and that will happen. So it's all good. That's why you go slow. And I probably will break a needle if it's been in my machine for a little while because it's taken some abuse. A brand new one that I just put in, I probably won't break as easily. And this one, this needle I've had in there, not a real long time, but it's sewn a little bit, so it's probably compromised a touch. Should I get a thicker one? Yeah, you could even use a 14 needle on these. Liz, I know the feeling. You ever take those naps where you're like, I swear, I'm only going to take a short nap. I'm really not that tired, but I really need it. And then you wake yourself up snoring. And I'm like, how come I wake myself up on a nap snoring, but I don't do that at night? And I know if I'm snoring on a nap, I got to be snoring at night. I don't understand. Messing with my needle threader. Sometimes this needle threader has to be, the needle's got to be right at the exact level for it to go in. And then it just pulls it right through. Super easy. But you guys, it's real life here. This happens to everybody, so don't be afraid if it happens to you. So I'm just going to start over. It's trim off all my edges, my thread before, and we'll start again. On this, I always start with my needle down just because with the fabric being. Yes, Joanne. To make an adult wrap, I would use the full towel. And then again, your elastic's going to be about 6 to 10 inches less than your chest measurement. So otherwise, everything else is going to be the same. Just take the towel and decide which direction, if it's for you or for like your husband or something, hold it up to him and see which is going to be the length versus the around, and figure that out, because sometimes people are really tall and it'll be the other direction. Some people are shorter and wider, so you got to turn it. So always just take the plain towel and just wrap it around either yourself or whoever you're doing it for real quick, so you know you get the right way. And then otherwise everything else is the same. So take your measurements, subtract 6 to 10 inches, depending upon, as an adult, you can make up for it again on this Velcro. So probably 6 inches is enough. And then it would give you the ability to, move it to wherever you're comfortable, because you're still going to have about that 5-inch Velcro piece. So you've got another 5 inches to move it. So does that answer your question? Hopefully that made some sense. But definitely make sure you guys use a thicker needle. Aw, hi, Roseanne. So this is the one time you do not want to use your 9s, even 11, maybe too skinny. If you feel like you broke a needle too easily, go up a needle size. There's nothing wrong with using like a 12 or 14 for this. And I think the one I'm using is actually a 14. It's at least a denim needle or an upholstery needle. It's just because we're going through elastic, Velcro, and 2 pieces of terry cloth. So you got a lot you're going through there. It's got to have some stability. Your machine will handle it. You just got to make sure your needle can handle it. And that's another reason to go slow. You don't want to do it fast. If you do it fast, you're going to break the needle. I can guarantee you're going to break the needle. You're probably going to break your thread too. So just take your time, go slow, work through it. And you notice I shoved it all the way through. I don't keep it in here because 9 times out of 10 it'll bunch up and get in my way. So if it's all to the back, then all of this is open and I can lay it nice and flat and it's not going to bother. I'm going to go ahead and just trim my ends off here while I can, so I don't have to stop and do it later. Make sure you pull your elastic so everything's flat. Again, I'm not pulling with my backhand, I'm guiding, but I'm giving it just enough of a resistance while I'm pulling that it helps pull it through. Because this thicker stuff, like I said, as you noticed, it got stuck on my plate just a little bit, my foot plate. So it didn't want to move quite as nicely. But the minute I do that, it just glides right through. So it takes a little of the wear and tear off the motor on your machine too by doing that. And I would sooner it go nicely and not bog down my motor as well too. So now we have it on this side, and you can see the elastic a little bit. You can go in and trim that out a little bit if that bothers you. All right, so here's the loop on the outside. Here's the soft part on the inside. And you'll notice then you can go all the way for a little kid, and you can't see any of it. And if they're super small, you can even go in further. You know, it'll still work. You still got a little bit of it hanging out. Or if they're starting to grow, you got a little bit of it hanging out over here and a little bit in here. And this is the part that would be touching the skin, so that's why that has to be the soft part. So there it is. Move my machine here. All right, so all finished, and look at how stretchy that is. Now, if you wanted to, after this is done, or you can do it at the beginning, you can do any kind of decoration you want on here still. So wide open for you. Now, straps. If you want to put straps on, have the child try it on if you're going to do it for your kid, okay? And figure out where those straps need to be and how wide you want them. You probably want them to be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches wide, okay? So I'm going to pretend this piece is the fabric we're going to use, okay, for that strap, both straps, or you can do one if you want to put it like around the neck as a halter or whatever. You can do that very easily for a little girl, do a halter. So if this was the strap, I would go ahead, if you're going to do this out of cotton, again, turn your edges, okay? Go over to your iron like we did at the beginning. Turn your edges on both sides so that you've got it already finished, and then fold it in half. Now, obviously, this is too skinny. You're going to fold it in half, okay? So I've turned both edges at the iron all the way down. Fold it in half. Sew down that edge. Okay. Now you're going to go, granted this is still, what I would do at this point is I would finish this edge with either a zigzag or serge stitch, because you don't want to turn this because it's going to get really bulky and then it's going to rub. Okay. So you want to leave this so that it's either just serged or zigzagged. Then if it's going to go, say like right here, and go around to the back, then you pin it in, try it on the child, pin it in, and then move the strap to wherever it needs to go to fit comfortably, and pin it. And you can even pin it on the outside if you're afraid the pin's going to get them on the skin. You can easily pin it on the outside, and then when you go to sew it, you can pull it to the back. And then just sew a square so that it will hold really well, okay? And if you sew that square, or a rectangle even, and that just right there, and then on the back, okay? And then that'll get you your 2 straps. So the kids can have the straps. If you want it to be a little girl to have halter, you can either tie it, and so you can do just one here and one here, or you can take it around, but you got to measure it on her to make sure it fits. That's why we usually tie, just in case, because you know, girls, how it is. Sometimes you tie it and it feels right, and then after you wear it for a little while, it feels really tight, and you got to go up and loosen it. So decide how you want to do that, but that's how you do straps. But you definitely have to try it on the child, and that way, you know, or if you've got a dress that they wear that you can lay on top of it, and then they've got straps already in the right spot, you can use that also as a guide. So there's your straps. Nara, did that help? Are you still here with me? Did you have any questions on that, Nara? Did I lose you? What do you have, Angela? I live through people on their food. What do you normally have that you go to the same place every Tuesday? Is it special that they have? And if you notice on this red, this polka dot can be either a boy or a girl. So a lot of my stuff I try, when I do it for market, I try and just make it unisex. And then you can have some of those real girly things or real boy things, but I, for the most part, go after the unisex stuff. Aw, thanks, Sarah. I hope so. This one had some nuances, guys, but you can do it. You'll notice with my tutorials, I know you guys can do these, so don't shy away from them. I'm just trying to push you out of the box a little bit with some of these techniques, because some of these techniques are things you will use way more than you realize in other areas and in other patterns further down the road. And you'll start looking at something and maybe the directions seem like they're harder than they need to be. And you're like, well, why can't I just do it this way? You know, that's the way we did it for this other thing. And you can. Just because somebody tells you to do it one way doesn't mean there isn't like 2 or 3 or 4 other ways to do it. So a lot of these techniques I'm showing you, I'm trying to show you the easy ways to do them, and then you can go ahead and implement them on other things as well. I need to make one of these for me. Now we've started talking about the adult things. I'm like, I really need one of these. I need a couple of these, actually. They're so easy just to throw on, like if you go jump in a hot tub or something, and they're lightweight, where if you just take a towel, sometimes that towel, you know, gapes down in the back and then it gets wet, or you got to hang on to it and then you drop it, where at least this, it stays put and your arms are free. So, you know, get real good at doing the armpit clench. But after a while, you know, if you're carrying stuff too, you can't hang on to everything and do the armpit clench. So yeah, I definitely think I need to make myself one of these. So I'm curious to see how much longer it's going to take till I get that community tab, because that's going to be so helpful to communicate with you guys. I'm really excited about that. And then you guys can give me some more feedback too. Taco Tuesday, Roseanne. Tasha and I, in fact, I need to text her every Tuesday. We text each other, Happy Taco Tuesday, you know, whatever little funny thing you found that has a taco on it. It always sends me on a mission every week. Oh, a matching head wrap, Joanne. Absolutely. Yeah, we could do some of those hair ties. Hang on. I already have one made. You know, now that you say that, I didn't even think about it. I made a bunch ahead of time and just haven't gotten around to getting them tied up. Here's your head wrap to match. And I just need to tie it to make a bow. So, and actually it's just a knot. $750, Sam. They're saying 500 now. I'm hoping it's 500, and I hope I don't have to wait till 750. Because I was just looking at something the other day after the girls told me it was 500, and it was saying, yeah, it's 500, so I'm hoping. So, yep, I forgot I had made these. I've got like 5 of them over there, and I just kind of got sidetracked and haven't gotten back to tying them and getting them ready to go to market. So I just need to do that. But yeah, I think I've got enough fabric on all of those that I've done, because I did 5 different fabrics. Okay, maybe 4 of the fabrics, and I have enough fabric to do a matching towel with. One of those, I don't know if I've got enough of that fabric. So there we go. There it is. Thank you for saying that, because I forgot that those were over there. So yeah, I will definitely be doing these for market, because these will be good little gifts for Christmas. You know, somebody's always looking for either that add-on gift or that unusual gift, and they maybe don't want to spend a lot of money, or they know the kid has everything. So there you go. Okay, Sam, yeah, maybe. I'm hoping it's at 500 like they say. So yeah, it used to be 1,000, Sam. Somebody told me that they just changed it from 1,000. So yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe you were at 750 when they changed it. So I'll know here in the next week. So yeah, there we go. I knew I was hanging on to those for something. Hmm. But yeah, back to the practical gifts for Christmas. These are awesome. You know, the kids will love them. And especially if there's a head bow, if it's a girl with them, if it's a boy, you know, if he's really into like monsters or trucks or something, make sure you get it on here as well. Maybe get the fabric on the side and then get like embroider on an applique on it, or put their name on it going up and down in that fabric. That is their favorite thing. The kids are going to love this. And you know how mom and dad always have a hard time getting them to take a bath sometimes? This may help mom and dad get them into the bath, is because they get to wear their special towel. And if they get this and mom and dad know that this will get them into the bath, this will be the only time they'll get to wear that towel, is when they go take their bath. So you just might become the favorite relative if you help them get past that. I don't want to take a bath. Or even if you're going on a trip or something, or they're going on a trip and you just want to give them something fun because you know they're going to go swimming. You know how sometimes my dad used to do this right before we'd go on a trip. He would always buy me a comic book, and he always hid it behind the seat of his truck. And I set for the whole family. Absolutely, you know, that would be really cute, because if they're going, especially if they're going on like a beach holiday, like Thanksgiving or Christmas or something, just doing it again. You know, then they could have this instead of the matching pajamas. They have the matching beach towels, and they could take a picture out on the beach in their matching beach towels instead of in front of the tree in their pajamas. You know, how cool would that be? But yeah, if they're going to go on a vacation. Anyway, my dad used to hide that comic book behind the seat of his truck, and he would never give it to me until like a half an hour before we were leaving. And then he'd call me over to his side of the truck, and he'd pull the seat forward. That's how old, that's how long ago this was. Pull the seat forward, and he'd pull it out and hand it to me. And unfortunately, our trips were always like long, long trips. And so the comic book didn't last very long for me, but it was still, oh my gosh, I got to the point where every time we were getting ready to go on vacation, I was like, I wonder which comic book he's going to get me this time. And it was always a good one, like Casper the Ghost, or, something like that, Marmaduke, or what was the one that, I'm having a brain fart right now. Oh, I'm having a brain fart. Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo is one of my favorite ones. So I always looked forward to that. So good little memories like that. So as I say, if you have a chance to start a tradition like that with your family, it didn't cost him, but maybe less than $1, 50 cents, 25 cents. I don't know what they cost back then. And it's a memory that has stuck with me my whole life. And Josie and the Pussycats, yes, Joanne. And it's just one of those where I still have a few of my comic books that have made it through the years, and I'll pull one out every now and then, and I almost remember the trip he gave me that one on. That's how much it stuck for me. So, little things like that with your kids is so awesome. So, so awesome. It's all about the gesture, not about the dollar. This thing is so soft. That's why I keep playing with it. But you could make these out of minky too, guys. It's going to be a little thinner, a little more slippery when you're sewing on it. But oh, that would feel so good, wouldn't it? You know, if they're just, if the minky is the thing, you know, if somebody has like sensory, where maybe the minky matters versus this the towel, maybe the towel bothers them. I don't know. It could happen. So you can do that. You can do it out of lots of different things. You know, if it's supposed to be a towel, just make sure it absorbs water somehow. And then after that, it could be like a sweatshirt knit too, if you really wanted to, because that would be absorbent. So whatever works. Yeah, trust me, this whole last year and a half took us kind of back to that simple life, and I was loving every second of it. I know a lot of people were going stir crazy, but I wasn't. I was enjoying. It was a breath of fresh air. It was really nice, you know, to be able to get out on the road and there isn't people just going mad and crazy, trying to get everywhere as fast as they can all the time. And people were just kind of leisurely driving, and there wasn't as many people on the road. And you got to where you were going without being stressed out from people driving like stupid people. And yeah, and we're back there again. I literally, it was overnight. The switch flipped off overnight. The switch flipped back on. And I'm like, oh. So yeah, I'm really glad I'm no longer commuting for work. That's been like a dream I never thought would happen. So I'm very, very happy with that. And then I get to work on this stuff for you guys too. So it was a good year for me. All right, guys, did I hit all of the questions? Any other questions that we didn't answer? I'm surprised I remembered the straps there. Night, Sierra. Thanks for coming by. Yeah, and the nice thing about it, if I can get that community tab too, then if I, like this last weekend, I couldn't tell you guys that I wasn't going to be on Sunday night. The only way I could tell you was by posting this at the time that you were looking for me to go live to see that it was going to be Tuesday night. And it worked, but I'm like, I can't wait for that community thing so I can get on and say, sorry, guys, you know, it'll be this date or that date just because I'm super tired or whatever. So, oh, you bet, Pia, anytime. Absolutely, anytime. Now I've got to think of the next one. I want to start doing some holiday stuff, so I really need to think about this one for 2 weeks from now. I'm still going to try and be on Sunday nights, though, guys. That I'm still going to always try and shoot for Sunday nights. But if I end up having like this wholesale order thing came in and just wiped me out, then it'll probably be like a Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. I don't want to go any further than that. Oh, Sandy, it still was horrible. I'm sorry. That stinks. Yeah, I wonder if it straightened out for Liz. Thanks, Liz. Yeah, I know. If you guys have some ideas, though, too, shoot them to me. I was kind of lost, and then all of a sudden, this one just popped into my head, and I was like, oh, that one's super, super easy. You guys will love this one. And it'll be perfect for gifts and stuff like that. So I wanted to do that. Plus, then, if you wanted to do some of your fun embroidery stuff on here without having to try and poop goofy, and you wanted to learn how to do some things, this will be perfect. You know, you can learn to teach yourself how to do, you know, how they do some of the gowns where they do the names up and down. You can practice on this and learn it if you're afraid to try it, or do some of the other stuff that you're afraid to try, maybe on a t-shirt or a onesie. Do it on here, learn how it goes, and then you can take that next step onto some of the fabrics or the pieces that might be a little bit trickier to hoop. So yeah, just have fun with these guys. You can add a ruffle at the bottom if it's for a little girl. You can do all kinds of stuff. So another piece of fabric, trim the bottom with another piece of fabric if you want, matching or not matching. You know, just play with these. Have a good time with them. I have not, Liz. Let me look into that. It shouldn't be too hard because all it is just, a piece of fabric with a bunch of pockets on it. So yeah, let me look at that. That's a good idea. It's a real good idea. And then that's something you guys can really have a good time with too. You can go way overboard or make it as simple as you want, and you can do HTV on there, you can embroider on there, you can do nothing, you can do fussy cut. And what I mean by fussy cut is you take your fabric, I'm going off on a rabbit hole again. You sent me on this rabbit hole, Liz. So fussy cut, and you'll hear that a lot if people are quilting. So if I wanted like this dinosaur, then I would specifically cut him out in the shape that I need it to be to put him on. That's called fussy cut, is by making sure that that element is right smack dab in the middle when you go to put it on. So, you can do that with your pockets. You can make sure that, you can do anything. So yeah, that's a really good idea because those can be real simple and super easy. Yeah, let me look at those. That's a great idea. I don't know why I don't think of some of that stuff. I just can't wrap my head around that it's almost November. I'm still thinking it's June, guys. I am not kidding. Wow. I just cannot believe this is the first year where I really just can't get it together at the end of the year. Oh, Pia or Patty, I did not know that. I am so sorry, Patty. Oh, wow. Yes. Well, you get on, you follow all of us, Patty. You're going to need to fill some of that space. So if you get on and you want to chat our ears off or, whatever, if you have your moments while you're on here, you have your moments. It's okay. We're all here for you. Okay, sweetie? I know, I understand. My mom lost my dad when I was pretty young. And so I know it's gonna be tough. So we're here for you. We're gonna keep you busy, okay? You come follow us on Instagram, you come follow all of us on YouTube, everywhere, and you just try and fill all that time with all of us, okay? And we'll keep you so busy. And we're gonna send your prayers, honey. We'll be praying for you, okay? I had no idea. And I know you didn't mention it before, and I understand why. So I'm glad you shared that with us. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure that was hard. So we are here for you, sweetie. Yeah, be strong, honey. So, yeah, we can make the pockets. Oh, good. There's a lot of videos to catch up on. If you go to all of our channels, Patty, you've got so many people. So many people. You could watch videos 24/7 for a very long time. And that's the good thing about our community is there's just so many of us that do it that, and we'll get on lives just because we need people to work with us. And so we're working and we don't want to do it alone. So we'll get on a live and have people come chat. So there's so many of those videos where people are on lives for like 4, 5, 6 hours. I've done a few of them. Z's done a few of them. Amber, with Being a Bliss, does a lot of them all the time. Hers will easily run 4 hours, maybe longer. So you learn a lot of stuff on some of those because we don't know where our lives are going to take us. You just, you guys talk and ask questions. And like Liz, she sent me through this rabbit hole a second ago, so we go down rabbit holes that we don't know. So that's what our lives are all about is you guys are just come on and ask us questions, pick our brains about stuff while we're working. And then, we're still teaching you guys, but we don't have an agenda at that moment. We're just talking. So get on and ask all your questions. If you happen to catch a live, turn on your subscribe and notification bells so you do catch the lives. Because that way, if you do have questions or you want to learn something specific, you can get on and ask those questions. Save the other ones for, the times when somebody's not live or, you don't have one that's interesting you so much, or you're just kind of needing to be, just quiet and you don't want to chat too. Sometimes those are perfect for that. So, but yeah, you ride your emotions, honey. Don't be afraid of them. Okay. And I'm a hospice volunteer. I go and visit with patients and work with their families. And so that's why a lot of this stuff I'm telling you is things that I tell the families too. Don't be hard on yourself. Just let yourself take the time you need. There is no set time. Just because so and so over there got over it in this amount of time and you're at this and it's still tough, that's okay. And I'm sure you've probably heard a lot of this. So just want you to know, we all do it in our own time. So ride the wave, do what you got to do to get yourself through. And all of a sudden, we're all going to be around you, and you're not even going to realize it's going to be a couple months down the road. So we're here for you. But yeah, if you're missing lists, if all of a sudden you're like, I know there's more out there, don't be afraid to just shoot any of us an Instagram message. And share your list and go, I know there's more. These are what I got. Who's more? Because there's times where I'm trying to find somebody and I'm like, I know him, and I can't find it. And all of a sudden somebody's like, oh yeah, that's so and so. I'm like, duh, of course. And then once you start turning on all those bells, then a lot of these will start getting introduced to you too, because YouTube's really good about showing you other ones that are similar to what you're watching. And so you'll start finding everybody, and you'll find other rabbit trails. Like Simply Sally does not just sewing, but she also does HTV and woodworking and a whole bunch of other stuff too. So you'll start going down some of those rabbit trails as well. So yeah, you'll start learning all kinds of good stuff, And then as we teachers go down our own rabbit trails and start learning other things, we'll start teaching some of that too. So I really wish I could fall asleep that fast and that hard. She's over here barking in her sleep. And it always makes me wonder, what is she dreaming about? Because there's times she's eating in her sleep and she'll wake me up. She's like, I just hear her munching and smacking her lips. And then other times like this, she's barking, and she'll be barking like really loud, but her mouth isn't coming open. But her cheeks are puffing out from barking. And I'm like, what are you barking at? And the only thing I can think of is I have a lot of deer out here because I live in a rural area, and so we have a lot of wildlife. So I wonder if she's reliving that, because every time we go out to go potty, there's deer out there, and she just gets so jazzed. She's like, I'm gonna go get him, and I'm like, no, you're not. She's on her leash for a reason, because she can't be off a leash. She will never be off a leash. She's not the kind I can ever trust. She gets too distracted too quickly. I mean, the minute we literally walk out the front door, her nose is in the air, and then the minute we walk back in the house, nose is shut off, and she looks at me like, I forgot. She literally, I don't even have to say anything to her. She walks in, she looks at me, she's like, oh yeah, oops. And the head goes down because she's just like, yep, squirrel. She's like, oh. And I'm like, one of these days, girls, one of these days, you're gonna remember. So yeah, it's quite fun when we go outside. Some days she's got, some of her triggers are a little more than other days. So that's what's probably going on in that brain during that barking and all that. She gets comfortable in the most weirdest positions too. Oh my goodness. You never know what you're going to get when you come on my channel. We have machine problems, broken needles, dog barking, dog doing antics, dog who doesn't want to be a dog. So, all right, guys. Well, it's 9:30 my time, and I need to start winding down and try and get myself to bed before 11:30. Never seems to happen though, but I usually have a few things I got to get done in the evenings before I go to bed now. So I know you guys enjoyed this, but I hope you share like I always ask you to do. Send me pictures, post it on your Instagram, wherever. Tag me on Instagram if you do post it. I really want to see what you guys make when we do these sew-alongs. I love to watch it. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks, Sandy. And Dreams of being a German Shepherd. Yeah, I'm sure, Joanne. That might be what she's dreaming about. I don't know. But yep, we will have lots more good so longs coming up, guys. And I can't believe it's been almost a year since I've started these. So yeah, it's getting so much easier. Anyways, you guys all have a very good evening, and I hope you have some sweet dreams. And I will talk to you guys really soon. We'll see you later and be watching. Hopefully, my community tab will be up and I can start talking to you guys there. So keep paying attention. We'll see you later, guys. Love you. Bye.